this is our lot building challenge of recreating My Little Pony in The Sims 4. And of course, we are working on Sweet Apple Acres, which was nice. It's definitely a different change of pace from the other ones. I don't have Horse Ranch, so that was one thing. I'm sure it'd look a little bit different if I did have that pack, but we still made this work. I'm really happy with the way it came out. But yeah, it's a barn, aside from, or it's different from, Rainbow Dash's cloud home floating, and then the tree house, and then the boutique that's different color, like the crazy colors, shape, and style. So it was really nice moving on to a barn, something that's more straightforward and simple, maybe a little bit easier to accomplish in The Sims 4. So I was pretty happy that I was getting to work on this lot now. And yeah, I struggled with the roofing, as you could tell, all that time it took just to get that roof correct. But, it was a diagonal. And yes, I know, it was a choice. And it was my choice. I knew what I was doing when I put it on a diagonal, and I still went through with it and kept it at a diagonal. I liked the way it looked. I know I could have put it, just standard, front facing, but the picture itself, I'm like, I want to make it as close to the picture as possible, and I feel like the diagonal is what made it work. I don't know. I kind of was just like, there's got to be some challenge, right? I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna make it look as the picture does, to the best of my ability, which means putting it at a diagonal. So, all that to say, yes, I know I'm gonna give myself continuous headaches as I continue through this build, and it is what it is. We're fine. We made it work, and yeah. Okay, so at this point, we got the shape, and I'm laying out the land, trying to make sure there's room for the gardening, the apple orchard, the chicken coops. So, that's why I put out the fence first. I'm like, okay, I need to make sure I've got this organized and, the way it needs to look, not to be symmetrical, but, because the picture, anyway, I was just trying to make it work. And yeah, so with it being a barn, I had to have the openness, adding the just a walk-in kind of open air concept. I ended up putting in what is it? What is the little room that you walk into when you walk into the home? The first room you walk into. Anyway, I'm having a brain fart there. I can't remember what the word is. But yeah, so I put in one of those just so that you're not walking in straight to a living room, seeing that from the outside. So I put in a door on the inside. And okay, the windows, I don't know what you want to call it. I made some choices. It is what it is. I don't really look at the windows, so it was fine. The picture shows that they're more of a modern kind of window. They didn't look very country or a farmhouse or that used kind of worn look. They looked pretty modern, so I went with the best windows that looked closest to the picture, which meant it was the ones from the high school years, which they could have walked in or snuck in and out of, but I had to put them at different platform heights, which you'll see, I'll get to it, but they end up not being very useful as the window itself. But you know, it was okay. We worked with them. They look like the picture, so that's what matters. And we're getting into now all the details, the flower boxes. As you can tell, I'm nervous to get into painting the outside of it because I was like, I don't know. I feel like that's going to be the biggest factor that makes it look like the picture is the outdoor paneling, color, texture, the walls. So I was a bit nervous to kind of look at the options. And also the picture, it's very much like you don't see paneling. I didn't see wood. So I went with this and I'm like, I really like this, but the picture just, it doesn't look like that. And you know, I was going based off the picture, and so I was like, okay, I'll try this one. And this one, yeah, not very textured. It's just a red color. And I'm like, it looks like a picture. We'll try it out. The only thing is, at some point, I'm like, okay, I didn't really care for it. So at the very end, I changed it. So you'll see at that point, like I made the executive decision to be like, I'm gonna stray from the picture at this point because it just doesn't look good in The Sims. Okay, so I had searched up Apple in the search bar just to see what we had, and I was like, oh, perfect, a little welcome to the Sweet Apple Liquor sign to put, you know, at the front. So that was nice, worked out. And then I put a giant apple on the top, which I was like, hey, there, that's perfect. Like, you know, it worked out that way. I tried to find decals to put on it because, like, the picture itself, it shows, you know, the spirals and designs all over the building, but unfortunately, there's no way I could have replicated that. I didn't know the best way of doing that, so just went without, which again is why I ended up changing it to paneling at the very end, because it just was so flat looking like this. But yeah, so we got the well, some barrels, which I was really happy with. It really looks like the picture. I'm like, hey, I can't be mad at that. And then we do have these stacks of hay. It's just one being placed over and over again. So, I mean, it was fine. It works. But, okay, so now the garden patches, got that covered. And then we work on more hay. I don't know. I was like, I don't really care for the way it looks, but it's the only hay bale that we have, you know, or that I have. I'm sure, again, like the horse ranch might have more options, but that was what I had. And so then this chicken coop area, there was like a mini fence inside the fence. So I was like, I guess I'll make it work. It is what it is. It's, yeah, I don't know. It was a choice. I kind of raised up the land in the back. Oh, yeah. So I raised it up a bit and then put down the trees, but now some of the trees float a bit because of the hilliness. So if you don't want the hills, you just flatten the terrain. But I just kept it because it made it more interesting. But yeah, so we've got the basics now, and at oh man, what was I gonna say? I can't even remember. Okay, so yeah, I eventually get to work on the trees, and I just go into the gallery, and someone, you know, was able to share fully grown apple trees, because that would have been sad to put up just a bunch of trees that weren't really apple trees. They had to be apples, so went into the gallery to make sure I put those down. These 3 outdoor sheds, I didn't make them like specifically that to be used, you can just basically see into them. That's it. Because I use the cats and dogs animal door. Yeah, so to kind of, make it look exactly like the picture, barn style kind of door, but it's not usable. So you can kind of see in that there's, crates and barrels or supplies, but that's really all it is. I just throw in a bunch of things that I find, and it's just a cute touch, I guess. You know what it is and why it's there, but that's it. Anyway, so we're getting close to doing a lot of the lots that are from My Little Pony. I'm not sure how many more I'm gonna do besides just the main 6, and yeah, I'm not sure what else. So if you have any ideas, let me know. Or if there's a whole other theme realm that we should try, just let me know. Okay, so this is the part where I put in all those trees, which I can't even remember if I recorded all of it, just because it was a lot of, copy and paste over and over. It gets a bit tiring. But I did the same with the garden and the plants, because I didn't want it to just be dirt patches. I wanted there to be actual plants. And so you'll see once I get to that point. It's okay. Okay, so I did a little of the inside of the barn, but it was just a lot. I didn't think it was that important to see the inside, because it's all about really the outside of it anyway. It wasn't that fun. Trust me, you didn't miss much. The terrain paint, that was fun. It was, I don't know, because it's dirt and grass mixture and paths, farmy. I don't know, it was just a new thing for me. I've not had to make terrain paint for a farm before. But I'm pretty happy with the way it looks. Like, it's fine. Can't be mad at it. It's starting to really look like Sweet Apple Acres, which I was like, perfect. That's, as long as it has some type of resemblance. Okay, so you saw a little bit of the inside there. That was just like a little sneak peek, but I show pictures of the inside at the very end. I don't really show the speed build part of it, but this is going to be uploaded on the gallery, so feel free to check out. My gallery ID is Nellera28. Here's me putting in all these plants, and oh boy, there was no rhyme or reason. Yeah, you see I cut out a lot of the time it took me to place them all. Yeah, there was no rhyme or reason to the pattern or where I put the plants. I was just laying them out. I thought it looked nicer that it was kind of sporadic a bit. I could have made them into rows, but I was like, oh no, I want it to be like a, less organized, Now getting into the small details, I added some lights outside just so that at nighttime it would, be pretty bright. And then I ended up taking these pictures at night. I should have taken them during the day. I didn't even think about changing the time of the day for these screenshots. But yeah, so this is it. Got some apples everywhere, and see the inside area, forgot what that's called, but got that done. I'm really happy with the way it came out. I ended up adding some chess table, a telescope, some other things to the outside, which you would see in the gallery version. This is Applejack's room, and then I ended up making her a little carpentry / juice fizzing room. I'm like, those seem like things that she would do, you know. And then, of course, the kitchen here, but yeah, that was basically it. I'm really glad you were able to, you know, watch and join me. So if you have any other ideas, just, again, let me know. And until next time, I will see you. Bye.